Chapter 23. Quaking Popularis. Marcus woke up with his face pressed into a textbook. A pool of drool warped its words into an inkblot resembling one of Diana's Rorschach tests. The sun wasn't up yet, but he felt rested for the first time that week. Marcus usually spent Fridays with Jordan, but the lab was calling his name, so he completed his daily affirmation, wrote a note promising to catch up with Jordan at class, and walked to Carlson Hall. Like the rising sun in all its splendor, behold! Marcus! Brad's eyes were alight. Since you're part of the inner circle now, I'll introduce you to another cohort member. She's in a sequence at the moment. Sit down and let's catch up first. Want a coffee? That'd be great. Give me a sec. Marcus hoped a black market-like orb would deliver his drink, but Brad fetched it himself. The woman from Nereo was right. Normal life felt inconvenient. Her memory had imprinted on him so powerfully that for a moment he could smell her perfume again. How's it going? Brad handed Marcus the drink. Have you decided how much tech you want for your quota? I thought I just took whatever you gave me. What is this, the Soviet Union? That'd be a Russian, comrade, Brad said in his best Russian accent before seamlessly switching back to his usual self. A quota is different. It's your reservation price, what you need in exchange for your time. You're the only person who knows your worth, so you tell me. I'm not doing this for the money. Altruism is admirable, but everyone's gotta eat. I don't want the headache of selling it. It's a frictionless process, Brad encouraged. You tell us what portion of your quota you want sold, we deliver it to TechMart, then you get paid to a crypto account only you control. Everything happens in the background, so you don't have to do anything. After Anthony's warning about the Darrows, Marcus had zero desire to do business with TechMart. There's no rush. Take all the time you need to decide and we'll settle up later. I'm good for it. Plus, I know where you live, Marcus said, eliciting a hearty laugh from Brad. I have a couple of questions for you. Not about the quota, if that's okay? Brad grinned. And I have at least 3 answers. What can you tell me about the Confederation? Brad removed his glasses, rubbed the bridge of his nose, and placed them back on his face. What I'm going to share with you is need-to-know information. Your government's requested we wait until M1 is reached before sharing these details with the general public, so discretion is advisable. I'll keep my mouth shut, Marcus promised. Seriously, though, Brad continued. You saw how quickly your form lost its collective mind from a submicroscopic pathogen with a 99% survival rate? The existence of hostile humanoid giants could send them into another toilet paper buying tizzy. Giants? The Confederation's form comes in 2 sizes. It's a result of their segregated society, which occupies 2 planets in their home system of Vega. The majority of their form are indistinguishable from your own, same size, appearance, and biological functionality. These individuals occupy Vega Major, a planet with similar mass and atmospheric density to Earth. But the elite class live on Vega Minor, which has less mass and a thicker oxygenated atmosphere. They still look identical to your form, but are 40% larger. The typical citizen of Vega Minor is over 8 feet tall. Holy shit, Marcus leaned forward. Their size isn't as advantageous as you might think. Their response time is fractionally slower since electrical signals in their body have to travel further. It's harder for them to maneuver on a planet like Earth because their bodies are conditioned to lower gravity. Do they ever leave Vega Minor? Rarely. They have something like your exo if they venture beyond their planet, but Confederation elites are religious zealots hiding behind ancient doctrine so they can shelter in place. How are they planning to invade Earth, then? Marcus asked. The citizens of Vega Major are their strike force. These troops, assisted by artificial entities similar to Heidi, have conquered the rest of the known universe, turning everything they touch into a Confederation colony. Imperium sine fine. An empire without end, Marcus translated. Bravo! Do you know about the Fermi paradox? It sounds familiar. Your mother would be rolling in her grave. It was a theory put forward by Italian-American physicist Enrico Fermi to explain the absence of evidence for extraterrestrials. You guys blew that one out of the water, Marcus mused. Indeed, Brad smiled. The paradox's answer is rather elegant. The Confederation controls everything other than Earth, and they're silently stalking you from afar in anticipation of an invasion. Like a pack of wolves, they've surrounded you, relying on the element of surprise. It's one of the reasons we warned you. We don't want to see you ambushed. If you're going to fight, you should at least see it coming. How have you survived their conquest? In every sci-fi story, the Galactic Empire faces a rebellion. We're mobile and outside their domain of control. Earth is their final prize. It's why you're so important and why we're helping. Not to sound unnecessarily dramatic, but the fate of your world will literally determine the universal balance. What do they want? Borrowing from your astronomical lexicon, you should think of the Confederation's goal as a redshift, focused on creating divisions within a form, and drawing them ever further apart so they can be controlled. The Federation's goal is the opposite, a blue shift, focused on creating unity within a form to help them reach higher stages of enlightenment and progress. Marcus paused to mentally catalog the details of their conversation, finding a final unknown. How similar are their artificial entities to Heidi? Heidi is one of a kind because she was built using your form as the foundation of her social cortex. She has no equal. What's a social cortex? Marcus asked. There are many ways to create artificial intelligence. In Heidi's case, she's based on a subsumption architecture. Is that where the cohort got the name for the sequences? Yes, Brad admitted. I biased things when I explained Heidi to the first member of the cohort. The name stuck. Instead of navigating the world through mental representations of every possible detail, Heidi couples her sensory information with stream-of-action information in a bottom-up layered approach. She's far more complex than her Confederation counterparts, built with a top-down approach. Where does all the action information for her social cortex come from if it's not the result of her own sensory experience? From you, Brad beamed. Largely from the sequence data. Marcus was lost in thought when Brad probed him. What was your second question? I don't remember anymore. It'll come back to you. Speaking of sequences, we didn't follow up on your sickness. Did it happen again? Yes, I felt terrible, but it faded fast because of my excitement over passing selection. That was exciting, and this is very interesting. Yesterday was far and away the longest sequence we've done together. I thought it'd make your sickness worse. Your issue must be logarithmic. Meaning? Marcus inquired. It climbs quickly to an upper plateau, then stays there. Length has nothing to do with it. In some ways, that's good news for you. Great, so I'll get equally sick from any length sequence? Brad glanced at his notes before replying. Yes, though it wasn't my intention to go so long yesterday. I just determined the set and setting. It's your job to navigate the space. You committed to continuing, and that stamina pushed you across the selection finish line. Brad raised his drink to salute Marcus. How's the rest of your life? You balancing everything? Things are improving. Diana wants to reconcile. What did she say about passing selection? That's to be determined. I'm taking her to my family's house at Sundance after class. I'll tell her when the moment is right. She requires a lot of personality management. That's on Mount Timpanogos? You know it? Marcus challenged. I've never been, but I've studied the quaking aspen trees all around those mountains. Your form gave them a perfect name. Populous. It's such an old word that we don't know where it comes from. It means the people, right? That's what my dad said. Your dad would have cleaned up on Jeopardy. It's a fitting name since each tree gives an illusion of being an isolated individual. How's it an illusion? An entire colony of 50,000 trees spread out over tens of thousands of feet is a single life form with one genetic code and a common root system. This invisible connection shows up when the trees of each colony change color in unison. I haven't seen it for myself, yet. It's true. Every fall night, my mother took us hiking through the forest to see the patchwork of colors on the mountainside. What great memories. It's why my family moved there. My mom loved the aspens. She thought they were immortal. She was very superstitious. She might be correct. An aspen can live thousands of years, and no one knows how long their roots survive. Have you visited Pando here in Utah? Not that I know of. It's one of the oldest life forms on your planet. It's at least 80,000 years young. Some of your form think it's capable of living millions of years. Aspens are survivors, adapting to every climate across the planet. Plus, they can legit clone themselves. Is that how they live so long? Marcus finished his drink. No. Cloning creates monoculture, and an identical genetic version of a form makes it vulnerable to freak mutations, predators, and competitors. Cloning has pitfalls, like in that movie, Multiplicity. Never seen it, Marcus replied. What? Brad bounced with excitement. It's Batman at his best! Michael Keaton's character clones himself, and when one of his clones copies itself, it's like the worst of royal inbreeding. A copy of a copy is never as good. How tall are the aspens by your house? Maybe 50 feet? I know they're taller than usual. Aspens don't do well in the shade, so that colony expresses an advantageous difference. But what if it went the other direction, and the colony only grew 2 feet high? If it kept cloning itself as taller pine trees showed up, the whole colony would collapse. I've seen that, where the pines snuffed out all the aspens. They can't compete with the taller conifers. But below ground, their root waits for a fire to clear the forest, and it sends out thousands of new aspens unobstructed. It's a poetic image of life rising from the ashes. Like I said, they're survivors. I love them. You should come to Sundance in the fall and see the colors for yourself. Deal. I'll bring the good looks, humor, and charm, you bring me. Marcus could feel their bond deepening. So, you're here to work, yes? Brad asked. Yep, but I have to be gone before noon for class. You're the boss now. Let's go meet Monica. Monica was sitting at the far end of the locker room, back towards the newly arrived pair, watching a holographic projection of Anthony's fight. The sight of his brother in the final moments of victory over Zed stole Marcus's attention, so Brad jabbed an elbow into his abdomen to ensure a proper first impression. Marcus! This is Monica Eames. Monica, this is Marcus Adams. Marcus's heart fired like an errant rocket. It's nice to meet you, Marcus. Again. Yes, she clarified. Nice to meet you again. You know each other? Brad winked. We met at the black market. She's the woman I danced with. Monica wasn't dolled up. Marcus's mother used to say powder and paint make a girl what she ain't, but Monica was naturally beautiful. Welcome to the cohort. I know you just finished, but do you want to go again? Brad asked. I'm always down for more. Monica winked. Suit up, separately for the sake of time and lawsuits. See you in a sec. Monica moved toward her locker, turning for a moment to gaze back at him before disappearing from view. Marcus was disappointed to find his locker indistinguishable from the one he'd used as a proxy. As he entered the Liberty Bell, he noticed a subtle change in his exo. The honeycombs over his heart were gold, forming the Roman numerals XIX. You'll have to be gentle, Brad announced over his invisible PA system. This is Marcus's first tandem sequence. What's that? Marcus asked as the pair floated. A sequence involving multiple cohort members, Brad explained. Same rules apply, but you'll share the set and setting. You're in for a treat, Monica replied. The golden numeral on her exo expressed authority. She was the cohort's first member. Though he couldn't see her face through the suit, Marcus felt their connection coursing through his veins like it had at Nereo. This feels like a bad rom-com, Brad said over their silence. Sequence ID number 538. Data begins. The last thing he remembered was saying he loved her. Though not directly, so he clarified. What I mean is, if years from now you asked for the moment I knew I loved you, this would be it. They'd stopped at the center of 3 converging alpine valleys. A towering ridgeline on 3 sides formed the outline of a bird of war, wings to the side, head held high in profile. They were standing on the heart of this imaginary bird, surrounded by red lupines and stargazers, Monica's favorite flowers. Their sweet scent of grapes saturated the nighttime, carrying off the pair's problems with the crisp mountain air. Moonlight bounced off a glacier descending on one of the ridges, coming to rest in a nearby emerald-colored lake. Behind them, from where they'd begun, rolling mountains faded from view. The silver underbellies of the lupines magnified the moonlight, illuminating everything. Thousands of feet above them was the summit, capped by a small white shack on the edge of the sheer cliff face. Monica took his hand and they continued their journey. It was silent here, allowing Marcus to hear the flowers sway in the soft wind. She guided him up a steep section of rock to the saddle, a low point in the ridgeline where they could look down both sides of the mountain. He scanned the western valley, but it was empty. There were no city lights, just a large body of water surrounded by wilderness. In the other direction was the aspen forest they'd traversed. The Milky Way was brushed boldly across the sky, each star feeling like it pierced through his skin, especially Orion's constellation. We need to sit, Monica said. We'll be shown something soon. They found a spot overlooking the blood-red meadows. The colors of this world pulsed in unison with the twinkle of the stars. It was so subtle, Marcus questioned if it was happening. Do you see that? He asked. Without breaking her upward gaze, she whispered, Shh, it's starting. Waves of auroras washed across the sky. Intense fields of purple, blue, and green slithered like silk scarves in the stellar wind. Marcus rose to his feet, inspired to get closer to the power of what he was seeing. Monica reached out and took his hand again. Together they stood immersed in the infinite, never looking at one another. Even the aspens were given eyes to bear witness to this moment. Sequence ID number 538. Change point. Data restarts. The last thing he remembered was standing in the middle of the lupine fields. The meadow changed colors with the light of auroras racing overhead. Marcus had a strong feeling of déjà vu. Monica was 100 feet ahead, back facing him as the valley turned a blue hue. She pointed westward. Hecate was rising. The intensifying light washed their eyes with pain as the planet peaked the ridgeline. It felt larger and closer than it should be. Without warning, the volume of the world amplified. Each sound had momentum, like a locomotive bearing down on them. Marcus grabbed his ears and squinted his eyes. He didn't want to lose Monica, but he was overwhelmed and fell to his knees in anguish. Vibrations ricocheted across the meadow, knocking the breath from his lungs. He gasped for air, but none came, making it impossible to scream for help. Then all was silent. The sound subsided and the light faded. Monica was still standing with her back to him. He struggled back onto his feet, stepping toward her, when everything shook violently again. The ground tore open, creating an impassable rift, filled with waves of liquid fire. The deafening roar returned, 10 times louder now, and the ridgeline that once stood powerfully over them crumbled into dust. The world was falling apart. Marcus forced his eyes open, suffering the blinding light again. But Monica had disappeared. Sequence ID number 538. Data ends. Marcus woke up feeling, as expected, sick, and with no memory of the cause. But he was happy to be beside Monica. As they lowered to the floor, his body begged for mercy, and he doubled over. "Are you okay?" When Marcus didn't respond, she panicked. "Brad? Brad!" "I'm fine. Brad already knows about this. There's nothing he can do." Marcus tried to calm her concerns. "I get like this after the sequences. It fades quickly. Really, I'm okay." "I was going to ask if the sequence was as good for you as it was for me, but that doesn't seem funny anymore," Monica huffed, getting a laugh from Marcus as he walked toward his locker. His human clothes felt strange after a sequence, because unlike the exo, human fabrics rested against the skin. He checked his phone. 4 hours had passed. Monica was waiting in the locker room in a chair that had melted to conform to her curves. "It's great we'll be working together," she said. "Sit." The chair moved as if it were alive, releasing its hug on Monica to make a second seat beside her for Marcus. But he didn't budge. The rest of the room was dark. No patterns or colors were scrolling across the walls. Their thoughts were fixated on one another. "I wish I could stay. I have class," Marcus lamented. "Well, if we're going to work together," Monica stood and walked to him, "we should exchange info. Can I see your phone?" He handed it to her, knowing what would happen. "It was nice to see you again, Marcus. And to learn your name. Call me." Marcus would have to run to class for the second time this week, but thankfully it was a warm day without a cloud in the sky. He caught up to Jordan at the Legacy Bridge, the 300-foot suspension walkway joining the old military fort to the main campus. The view from the platform was amazing. Mount Olympus was in the distance, its imposing peak visible from anywhere in the valley. Marcus climbed it every summer with Anthony. Before he greeted Jordan, Heidi delivered a public service announcement. "Good afternoon, citizens, and welcome to another wonderful day. You've heard it said that everybody needs somebody to love, or that love is louder, brighter, and fuller of life than any other emotion. Yet most of the time we wait around, hoping other people will make the first move. Today, tell a stranger you love them. They're probably eager to say it back, because together, we're unbreakable." It was noon. "I love you, Marcus," Jordan said in a robotic voice. "And don't I know it?" Can you imagine if you actually listened to their Manchurian programming and walked up to a random person and said you loved them? They'd think you were a mental case. "Sad but true," Marcus moaned. "Do the PSAs remind you of a softcore version of Orwell's 2 Minutes of Hate?" Jordan crossed his wrists and held his hands toward the sky. "Grasp at victory and shout his name, Marcus! War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength!"